may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Alright guys, really hope that y'all got your chance to send me the screenshots of your rosters. I'm going to continue to make videos like that where I take your rosters from Instagram and Twitter and I turn them into videos just because I'm not going to be able to live stream as much this week as I have previously done. Y'all know pretty much all season at this point, I have live streamed every single night. I mean, nobody has done that type of volume as us. But here I am dealing with finals as well as I'm traveling across the country to see my family. So I'm very sorry. I'm not going to be able to get to nearly as many of your questions this week as I usually do. But I'm going to continue to try my best. And we're going to do that through Instagram, through Twitter, where you can directly send me screenshots of your lineups there. And I can go through and I can use them in the videos. Alright, well, that's it. Let's get into this video and let's talk about 5 running backs that I want to make sure are on our benches going into week 15. And let's start someone that I have been telling y'all to sit over the past 3 weeks now, and this is going to be Melvin Gordon. Okay, with Melvin Gordon, I know at this point of the season, he looks like he has been an extreme disappointment compared to where you took him in fantasy drafts, but honestly, it's not nearly as bad as what it should have been. I mean, Philip Lindsay being out for about 4 or 5 weeks from this offense, if my memory serves correct, I mean, really helped Melvin Gordon. And that Melvin Gordon right now with Philip Lindsay in this Denver Broncos lineup is actually only seeing about half of the touches out of the backfield. Whereas beforehand, when we had no Philip Lindsay, I mean, Melvin Gordon was seeing anywhere from 70 to 80% of the running back snaps as well as touches. I mean, so if you look at the season numbers for Melvin Gordon so far this season, I mean, yes, it's bad, but I promise y'all, it could have been so much worse. So when we are projecting Melvin Gordon from here on out, I think that what we need to be doing is we need to be focusing in on the games that Philip Lindsay was active in rather than the entire sample that we have. Because yes, it's a smaller sample, the games where we've had Lindsay and Gordon together, but it's going to be a more accurate sample based on the usage of the running backs in the offense. And this week, we have the Denver Broncos going up against the Buffalo Bills. And if my memory serves, I think we had James Conner going for like 10 carries and under 20 rushing yards this past week. Not able to bring in a single reception. And the overall Pittsburgh Steelers offense had a hard time moving the ball effectively against this defense. Something that we saw with the Buffalo Bills matchup the week prior as well. So here it looks like the Denver Broncos offense is going to be in a very rough spot this upcoming week. They're going to have a hard time getting first downs. They're going to have a hard time getting the ball to the red zone, where we know that's where you really have to be if we're going to expect a decent performance from Melvin Gordon this week. But on top of all of that, we are also going to have Melvin Gordon giving away half of his total touches to a Philip Lindsay. So yeah, here, I mean, a washed running back, a bad offense, a bad matchup. Please, with Melvin Gordon, do not even consider putting him in your starting lineup this week, despite the name appeal and despite what we are overall expecting from Gordon coming into 2020. All right, so now let's get to our next running back, someone that honestly the usage was kind of impressive from this past week, but this is going to be a Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Okay, so CEH this past week had 16 carries, which honestly is not jumping off the page, especially with how poor his rush efficiency was. But what's important about this stat line is that he actually had 5 receptions in this game. We know that that was exactly why we were drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming into 2020. I mean, he profiled to be a running back that was a great pass catcher coming out of LSU. That is why he was taken in the first round by the Kansas City Chiefs. But really, he has not had that usage all season up until week 14. So like I say all the time, I think the number one mistake from fantasy players, other than mistaking real life NFL talent with fantasy football value, is overvaluing the small sample size, overvaluing the 1 week a player's coming off of. So yes, it was extremely optimistic for his long-term outlook to see that usage in the passing game for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but it's nothing that we can automatically expect from him going forward. And even with him getting that type of volume, I mean, he still was not able to crack 100 yards in this offense. So here, I think in a tough matchup against the New Orleans Saints, who, yes, just gave up a very nice game to a Miles Sanders, based on the fact that Jalen Hurts was able to freeze those linebackers and allow Miles Sanders to pop off a very large play. I don't think we're going to be seeing the same thing from Clyde Edwards-Helaire in this offense. I think they look to throw the ball a little bit more aggressively down the field, as the strength of this New Orleans Saints defense is going to be the running game, combined with the weakness of the Kansas City Chiefs is going to be the rushing game. So I think we see a full-on Patrick Mahomes onslaught, and yes, this offense should be able to put up points, which usually dictates us wanting to start their starting running back in fantasy football. Here, I think with the usage of a Clyde Edwards-Helaire, where he's not getting a ton at the goal line, where we've had a very small sample size of him being effective in the passing game, the larger sample shows that he's not going to be used that way. I think that he is someone that needs to find our benches in Week 15. All right, so now let's get to our third running back, someone that I hated coming into the year, someone that I still hate, David Johnson. Okay, so with David Johnson, I mean, he's coming off a game where he had 10 carries, 44 yards, and a touchdown. And I know with David Johnson that he has that same name appeal as Melvin Gordon. But we have to understand that the same exact situation with David Johnson is applying here as it did with Melvin Gordon. And that with David Johnson, the season-long numbers look bad. I mean, if you look at his points per game, clearly he did not live up to your expectations from where you drafted him at. But on top of this with David Johnson, I mean, he honestly is kind of ran hot. I mean, he had Duke Johnson out of this offense at the beginning of the season for a couple game stretch. And in those games, we actually saw David Johnson uptake that passing game usage, where he was the running back that was getting the targets out of the backfield as well as the carries between the tackles. But since then, we've had a couple things change for this Houston Texans offense. One, Duke Johnson is the running back soaking up the volume in the passing game. And two, we have just this overall offense being a whole lot less efficient without Will Fuller. Very rarely do you take away a team's wide receiver and it makes such a large impact on the overall offense. Generally, it's that next man up mentality where you are going to be able to continue to move the ball effectively down the field with just the next guy sliding into that role and running your offense the same. But the problem is, Will Fuller is not one of these slot wide receivers that's getting a ridiculous amount of volume. Will Fuller's not someone that's running short to intermediate routes and really thriving just overall the offensive role that he has rather than the talent level. No, here with Will Fuller, I mean, he was such a key member of this Houston Texans offense, taking away the safety attention and running over the top as the most valuable wide receiver role in the entire NFL pretty much. Obviously, there are better wide receivers. I mean, a Tyreek Hill, we have a Terry McLaurin, other wide receivers that play the same role in their NFL offenses. But here, that's what Will Fuller was for the Houston Texans. So we're going to be seeing less points scored by this overall offense. And David Johnson's role is not what we would want at all. Combine that with the fact that this is a very tough matchup against the Indianapolis Colts. This means you want nothing to do with David Johnson. Okay, so now our next running back coming off of a very big performance, Chris Carson here, 12 carries, 98 yards, 3 receptions, and a touchdown a week ago. And I will say this, guys, Chris Carson's definitely the running back one on this list if you were asking me a start-sit question. Like if you were going to ask me, should I start Chris Carson or Melvin Gordon? I'm telling you Chris Carson 10 out of 10 times. But here the problem is this is just going to be a very tough matchup against the Washington football team, where yes, we have Chris Carson as the lead running back here, where yes, this offense should still be able to put up points, but we've seen in back-to-back weeks now where the opponents for the Washington football team were really not able to get anything going on the ground. And with the Seattle Seahawks, they are so pass happy anyway on early downs so far this season. I think that we just have Chris Carson in a bad matchup where because of the matchup, they may not even look to force him. They may not even look to get Chris Carson 10 touches. I think what we see here is a little bit more of dependency on Russell Wilson's greatness for this offense, on Russell Wilson trying to throw the ball early and aggressively. So here, Chris Carson, not the matchup to play him. All right, so now our last running back that we're going to talk about, really the only reason I'm bringing him up is to say, one, I told you so, and two, to say, cut him off your roster. I don't care. Todd Gurley. Guys, Todd Gurley is a running back that there is no reason for you to be rostering him at this point. I mean, he's playing in one of the worst offenses in the entire NFL for running back production, and he is entirely washed. They don't want to give him a full workload based on the health of that knee. This is one reason why I was not wanting to draft Todd Gurley coming into this season. Coming off a game where he saw 8 total touches, 31 total yards. I mean, yes, he could have a pop game over the next 2 weeks. Yes, he could go out there and find the end zone twice off of 12 touches. That's entirely possible. But we understand that based on this role in the offense, Todd Gurley will never find your starting lineup. I honestly may rather have a Tony Pollard in fantasy football, just knowing that if we saw an Ezekiel Elliott injury in week 15, Tony Pollard could be a high-end running back 2 in week 16. And with Todd Gurley, he has no path to going back to being a high-end running back 2 in projections. I mean, even if we saw Brian Hill and Ito Smith both get COVID and get put on that COVID list, Todd Gurley's health is not there for him to see the volume in the offense. The offense is not productive enough to support a committee running back as a high-end producer. So yeah, here, Todd Gurley, just go out there and cut him. No reason for him to be on your roster. Okay. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, go down there, drop that like, leave that comment, subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps us out. And yeah, that's it. I hope I will see y'all in the live stream sometime this week. I'm going to try to go live on Saturday night or Sunday morning. If not, I'll be getting your DMs to make videos of your questions there.